Hey there, welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. All right, I am perched outside of the AMC cinema over here, where I am super excited to go in and watch MaXXXine tonight. This is the third installment in Ty West trilogy, the X series. Basically started with the film X, I think in 2022, starring Mia Goth. She came back for the prequel called Pearl, which took place about 50 years or so prior to the events of X, giving you sort of an extraordinary origin story, if you would. And now we're going ahead of X into the next decade, the 1980s, to explore the world of MaXXXine and really take the character that we saw in the first film, X, and after the events of that film, don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen it, and then taking us a decade into the 1980s to see where her life has taken her. We know that she wants to be a star. She wants to make it big in the movie business. She will not let anything keep her from her destiny. So I am looking forward to seeing the lengths that she will go to get what she wants. So anyway, I'm gonna step in here, get my I already have my ticket on my phone. I'm gonna get my popcorn, my drink, and settle down and get into the world of MaXXXine, and then I'm gonna come out here and share my thoughts on this film. Are you ready? Let's do this. All right, I'm fresh out of the AMC theater, having just seen MaXXXine, the concluding chapter to Ty West's X trilogy that started with X, the film that was basically set in the 1970s. It was sort of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, grindhouse, cinema type vibe to it, really grungy cinema vibe to it that I really enjoyed. The second film, which was a prequel called Pearl, takes us back to like the 1920s, and is put in the aesthetic of a Technicolor aesthetic. So a bright, shiny Technicolor spectacle. And now this third film, MaXXXine, is set a decade after X, and it has a new genre all of its own. It's set in the 1980s. And so you have that 80s, vibe to it. So you have the music, you have the whole aesthetic of the 80s on full display in this film. And overall, my feeling on MaXXXine is I feel like it is a pretty satisfying conclusion to this trilogy. So, I'm still processing my thoughts on this film. This is my fresh reactions right from the theater. And overall, I really enjoyed this film. I was gripped in this film from the start to the finish. I was definitely into this movie and wanting to see what was going to happen next and how this was all going to wrap up. Basically, the premise is you have MaXXXine, who this is around 7 or 8 years after the events of X, where, after what happened in that movie, she's now pursued a life in Hollywood, and she is one of the, thousands of actresses trying to make it in Hollywood, desperately trying to get a part that will make her relevant on the Hollywood scene. She's trying to transition from her career in the adult film industry to more serious films. And so she's going through auditions and really putting herself out there and doing everything that she can to be a big star, because she absolutely will not accept a life that she does not deserve. She will not accept a life that she does not deserve, and you see that on full display in this film. She will not let anything stand in her way, and there are forces that are trying to stand in her way in this film that bring themselves forward. So, she's escaping the past based upon the events of X and trying to move her life ahead. But the past has a way of catching up with you. And you see that happening in this film, in the likes of the character played by Kevin Bacon. And he is a private investigator who was hired by somebody that I will not name to find MaXXXine and try to make her pay retribution for the sins of her past. So she's fighting against that. She is relying on Giancarlo Esposito's character, who is her agent and lawyer in this film. So he's one of the allies that is helping her in this movie. And she's working with different people that she's involved with in the movie business, with the director of the film that she gets the part for, played brilliantly by, I believe the actress's name is DeBecky, and I've seen her in a number of different films, and she does a great job as the director, giving MaXXXine advice, telling her how to make it in Hollywood, basically telling her, hey, welcome to the belly of the beast. You have made it this far in Hollywood. You've gotten to that first step. If you want to stay here, you better not let anything distract you and get your eye off the ball. If there's anything that's distracting you and keeping you from making it in Hollywood, you need to squash it. And so MaXXXine goes about the business of squashing anything in her way. And it's very entertaining seeing how she goes about it. There's a lot going on in Hollywood. There is a serial killer on the loose. And this serial killer is killing people that are close to MaXXXine. And so the LA detectives are trying to question her and figure out what connection she has. So there's a lot of different forces going on that's converging on her as she's trying to make it in the movie business. And it's very entertaining to see how these various forces are going to wrap up in this movie. So overall, I found this to be a pretty satisfying conclusion to the X trilogy. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I came away feeling pretty satisfied with it. I don't really do scores, on these types of reviews, but I definitely give this a positive review, so to speak. I feel good about how Ty West and Mia Goth wrapped up this trilogy. I think they left it in a good place, and this will definitely be a memorable set of films to chew on. One thing I will definitely say though, if you're wondering, hey, do I need to have seen the previous films before seeing this movie? I would definitely say that, in my opinion, I think you need to see X before seeing this movie, MaXXXine. You don't necessarily need to see Pearl. In fact, you can skip Pearl altogether, but I do think you need to see X before seeing MaXXXine, because there's a lot of flashbacks and callbacks to that film that if you haven't seen X already, you're not going to have any idea what's going, you're not going to understand what those flashbacks are referring to. And I actually had the benefit of having recently seen X this past week. So those things were very relevant to me. If you haven't seen the movie X, you're going to see a lot of things that aren't going to make a lot of sense to you. So I definitely recommend seeing X before seeing MaXXXine. Now, I didn't mean you shouldn't see Pearl. I think Pearl's an excellent film. It's an excellent prequel, and definitely worth seeing. And then you're getting the full X trilogy experience. So I've kind of mumbled along here. I'm definitely recommending MaXXXine to fans of this series. I do think it is a satisfying conclusion to this series of movies, and it comes with my recommendation. Do I walk out of here feeling like, oh, that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen? No, I wouldn't say that, but I do walk away feeling pretty satisfied that this trilogy has come to a good conclusion. And I think that this chapter, MaXXXine, closes the book on a very entertaining set of films. So, kudos to Ty West and Mia Goth for putting together three pretty incredible and inventive films with different genres and different twists and the motifs and the way that they were presented, with the whole 70s vibe, going back to the Technicolor era, coming forward to the 1980s. So I really loved the way that they presented these films, and they definitely have high marks from me. So enough mumbling from me. I definitely recommend MaXXXine, but definitely make sure you see X first. So with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.